Hello, and welcome to a bonus episode of the Sports NextDoor podcast. My name is Owen. It is the morning after Game 2 of the Phoenix Suns Milwaukee Bucks NBA Finals, and I'm joined, as I always am, by my neighbor Max, my friend. It was a game where the Bucks made improvements and adjustments and got a lot of effort on the defensive side. Giannis has an all-time finals game. Really, really impressive performance from him. The recipe was there. Phoenix shot way less free throws. Paul had 6 turnovers. Giannis, a big game, like I said, and it still ends up as a double-digit loss for the Bucks on the road, losing 118 to 108 to Phoenix to now have the Suns up 2-0 in the series. I'm wearing my Nash jersey. Got to support the team that I picked. But what are some of your first thoughts after the closure of this game?
Yeah, like you said, think the Bucks made the right adjustments, especially right at the start of this game. It was that pick and roll that killed them in the first game, right? And that wasn't like a necessarily zone adjustment or a schematic adjustment they needed to make, as in, okay, we hit the double team right here, or we need you to draw. It was you guys just individually are getting killed by Booker, Paul, Ayton, and you need to fight harder. You need to not let Ayton have that free lane to the basket. You need to fight around that screen. You need to make them work more, take that one extra step. And I thought the Bucks did a great job of that. Consequently, Crowder missing all his shots in game one. You had reason to think, okay, let's make some of the other guys make some shots. And the help defense made it that much harder on Paul and Booker. But then Crowder, Bridges, Johnson were all perfect outside the arc from the perimeter. And there's not that much you can do about that, because when the help defense went away from Booker, he got electric. So defensively, I think the Bucks did kind of everything they could, and they lost this game offensively. They made the right defensive adjustments. They gave themselves a chance. They were up and they came out great attacking the paint. But Suns go zone, it like slows the Bucks offense for a second, and then the Suns get ahead and the Bucks never really get back in it. I think they had the momentum offensively. They stuttered, lost their step, and could never really find it again. And again, you've got to put the blame on two of the big three, both averaging around 30% from the field goal.
Yeah, it was a game where Milwaukee would kind of creep within 7-6, and then someone on the Suns would make a big time shot and reestablish that 10-point cushion. You're absolutely right. Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton simply have not been good enough. Middleton had a good third quarter in game one, but overall this game, they started out well, and then really they were building a brick house from then on. 5 of 24 in the first half, improved a little bit in the second half, but they end up 12 of 37 combined in the game, which is simply not good enough from your two guys that are supposed to be the wingmen and the co-stars for Giannis, who himself had an incredible performance. 42 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks. He was everywhere tonight. He was hitting that one-legged fadeaway that's really become a go-to tool for him that he's developed over the last season and a half. And when he decided to put his head down and get to the rim, he was doing so at will. Even DeAndre Ayton was having trouble containing him. But in the end, like you could see at the end of that game, he had spent every last mile that he could allocate for this particular game. He looked gassed out there, and he just didn't get enough from his two co-stars. But I want to shout out Giannis, because what an incredible game from him tonight.
Yeah, we're witnessing some players rise to the occasion of the playoffs for sure. Ayton in the first game, Giannis tonight, Booker as well, absolutely clutch. It shows why the Suns are the finals team and now the favorites to win the ring. Early in the game, they're able to get everything they need and more from their role players, from their non-star guys when the stars are getting doubled, having a bit of trouble, but they don't have to hold the game in their hands. Later in, Booker just finds a way, man. A lot of those threes he hits, he was being guarded as well as they could, and he was making unstoppable shots basically, unless you have like the crazy reflexes and instincts to go for a block. But on those, you have like as good a chance of fouling as not. I think he hit 3 threes in that fourth quarter, all fitting the criteria you're described of the Bucks looking to get back in, spark some momentum, and just getting answered every time by those threes, and then themselves not being able to return the call. I do something I heard. I think it was Stan Van Gundy point out that I also kind of are in line with that is later the Bucks needed to do what the Suns did earlier, where Holiday was driving and just not able to get those like 1-on-2 two-hand like layups in, and there was definitely some space on the perimeter, which is exactly what you saw the Suns doing early, drive and kick, and seeing Crowder and Bridges finish those threes, and the Bucks weren't able to do that themselves. So that, I think, a big opportunity that lost them out offensively.
Yeah, it's a great point. Drew Holiday, I thought, again, it's been similar throughout the playoffs. He's been up and down, mostly down, which is disappointing if you're a Bucks fans. But I think he really has the opportunity to make a much bigger impact on this series. Offensively, it seems like he's a little bit timid and hesitant. When he's attacking, it's in transition when he knows he has a distinct advantage, and he hasn't been able to convert on some of those layups because of his physical style of play. Maybe teams are getting away with fouls a little bit. Maybe he's just not finishing, which I think both are contributing factors. But the big thing I noticed in this game is when he is running pick and roll with Giannis is I feel like he stops in that play a little bit too early. He's tending to settle for a mid-range, for a floater that's around the free throw line just a little bit too early. And I think it would really help this Bucks offense if he penetrated a little bit deeper into the paint. Maybe he's not exactly looking for a shot. Ayton's a great rim protector, but even just engaging Ayton a little bit more closer to the basket maybe allows him to throw a pocket pass to Giannis who's rolling to the rim, or a dump off, or maybe it opens up the corner shooters just a little bit more. I find him stopping further away from the hoop, and that really helps the Suns defense because then Ayton no longer has to commit to him. And then it closes off other options for Holiday in that pick and roll.
Yeah, for sure. That's, I think, I'll say it again, where they need to spend all their energy and effort defensively. You guarded Booker as well as you could. You made some choices you're going to have to live with in leaving guys open on the perimeter to really challenge the Suns star players and take the ball out of their hands. You can adjust that a little, but if you go back to one-on-one too much, you're going to get burned there. So I don't think they can do it that much better. It's offensively, they need to look at themselves and come up with some answers, and it's got to start and end with Holiday and Middleton, whether that's as scorers or distributors. They need to get better, more consistent scoring chances. Do have to give Ayton, or not Ayton, excuse me, Holiday a quick shout out defensively for getting blocks on Booker and Ayton. I don't know how often you book it or block a team's shooting guard and center as a point guard, but that's absurd.
Yeah, he really flashed like the incredible defensive upside that he has. A couple really nice steals as well. And whenever he is involved in the play, he's making things incredibly difficult. The problem I had, and it's great that you brought this up because it was giving me my next point, is he's not involved enough on the defensive end. I find early in that game, Milwaukee switching freely. It was a lot of Bobby Portis or Brooke Lopez or even like PJ Tucker guarding Chris Paul or Devin Booker on the perimeter. They're willing to give up those switches if they're not doing the drop coverage. And Drew Holiday a lot of times was giving up on his defensive matchup in the screen, which is their scheme. But late in the game, I saw they were trying to keep him on Chris Paul a lot more. They were hedging with Connaughton and having him to try to scramble to recover to Jay Crowder and Mikhail Bridges, whoever was setting that screen. And I think that's what they need to try and do a little bit more is Holiday's got to be at the top of the perimeter there. If he is not contributing offensively, then he has to make sure that he is guarding one of Booker or Paul every single defensive possession and having an impact in that regard, because that's something he can control a lot more than maybe how his shooting stroke is night to night. I saw him. Yeah, he has to really claim that Chris Paul matchup in particular. I think if he can shut down the guy who's pulling all the strings, then that can really disrupt Phoenix's offense. And I thought they were giving that matchup away a little bit too easily in the first half. But it's really important for him to try and fight through that screen, or at least have Connaughton help him with a hedge, get the ball out of Paul's hands at the very least into Bridges or Crowder's hands, and make them make a tougher decision in that scenario.
Yeah, you've talked about Chris Paul's patience a lot. One drawback of that, or thing you can attack, is sometimes on the switch he's not going to drive to the net right away. And I saw somewhere in the fourth quarter Connaughton taking advantage of that, where they were forced to switch. Okay, you're not going to drive, I'm just going to like shrink back to Crowder, and it gave Holiday the opportunity. So attack Paul's patience. If he's going to play like that, then there's an opportunity for you defensively.
The counter argument there is the incredible play of Mikhail Bridges last night, right? It was anytime he was getting the ball in a situation where he had the ability to attack a closeout, or he was getting it off of one of those hedged screens, he's got such length and versatility as an attacker against a vulnerable defense that he's really difficult to stop. I think he had 21 points tonight, a couple of big threes. But the thing that I really loved is this is your fourth guy out there on the floor, in theory, if we're talking hierarchy on this Suns offense. And if he's getting the ball, attacking closeout, he's hitting a mid-range jumper, he's leaning inside with his length for a layup. I swear his arms are like 8 feet long. It's ridiculous. But he is like, it is so incredibly valuable. It reminds me a lot of the Raptors team, where everyone could kind of create their own shot in some regard. So in this scenario, it would be a little bit like a Norman Powell, or a little bit like a Pascal Siakam, where you have that wing who's catching and attacking a closeout. And it, like, just really, really tough if you're Milwaukee, if you're trying to kick it out to those guys who you'd rather have shooting than Booker, Paul, Ayton, and then they're killing you on those, like, driving into a mid-range or just attacking a vulnerable defense. So shout out to Mikhail Bridges. He had a really, really great game on both sides last night.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I think it's pretty much unstoppable for the Bucks at this point, and all they can do is answer back with more offensively. And I think this game came into a microcosm in the last 4 to 2 minutes, where the Suns offense, the ball would start in Booker's hands. The Bucks defense would hold them off well, keep them, and then they'd just be able to kick it. And Bridges fakes a three, steps in for the mid-range. I think Paul misses, rebounds his own shot, sends it to Crowder, who's good to step in, pull up from the elbow. Whereas the Bucks offense at the same time, Giannis is able to get them 1 point, that like leaning fadeaway you talk about. But then when they start kicking it around, trying to find the open shot, that just their secondary starters not able to have that same consistency, and that let the Suns keep the gap big enough heading into the last 2 minutes that wasn't particularly close.
There were two plays in particular on the offensive side of the ball for the Bucks that I wanted to talk about. Both errors by Pat Connaughton, one more egregious than the other. They had a fast break scenario, which I think they should be trying to do more of. It's tough to really say that because it's a tiring process to get out and run in a game on every possession. But they had an opportunity against the defense where Phoenix recovers well on the fast break, but at the very least, you probably got some cross match scenarios that you can exploit. And the ball gets swung to the corner and swung to the wing for Pat Connaughton. And it's probably not a great shot. So he's looking for a better shot, but he throws this pass right across the perimeter that just easily picked off by Ayton coming back to recover in the play. And it's a pass that cannot be made in that situation when every possession is so valuable. And It was a big mistake there. And then later on in the game, I think around the 4-minute mark, he missed a three. I think you saw it as well. But the thing I noticed was in the corner, PJ Tucker was calling for that. PJ Tucker, not a great 3-point shooter, but usually pretty solid from that one corner. And it was the situation where you're turning down a good shot for a great shot. Connaughton takes it, misses it, and you can see PJ Tucker in the corner. His head goes down. You can like it's frustration, and when it's visible like that, you know that guys are maybe not having such a good time. They're expending a lot of energy, and it was a play that I thought was indicative of the Bucks last night. It's just not making the key plays when they absolutely needed to, unless your name was Giannis.
Yeah, and we talked about this in the Nets series. This the most valuable player ever, maybe to go invisible in the last 2 minutes. But the foul shot liability just, I think at this point in the finals, means they can't really trust the ball in Giannis's hands unless it's a really, really easy layup dunk in transition where they can count on the speed of him to get that ball in quickly. But in a half court set, they don't want to take the 10, 15 seconds off the clock they need for him to get close enough in the post, probably get fouled, and then go one of two. So you have to count on someone. Holiday, Middleton not having great games. So you don't want them taking really contested shots. They're swinging it. I think with 2 minutes left, Connaughton hit 1-3, which I just remember very well because I was looking for it from someone on the Bucks, and I thought they had a chance there. So maybe that a bit later than what you're talking about, but then he did go and miss his next one, which sort of fits the criteria you're describing of not a great opportunity. But I don't even know who takes the shot at that point in the game. You need a three. He was somewhat open. He was feeling it, having made his last one. I was really impressed by a lot of what I saw from him, especially in the third quarter. He was like getting after it on the offensive glass, the defensive assignments. He was making up for a bit of a lack of natural athletic ability with real effort, and had some like a nice recovery, like jumping in to catch, steal, save the turnover moment. And he was decent enough from the 3-point line throughout the night. So I thought Connaughton's game was good enough that he forced his way into the starting lineup for those last few minutes, and it was deserved. But yeah, back to the offensive drawing board is where I'm going to keep circling back to on this game for the Bucks. But a well-deserved win by Phoenix. Their best players coming up huge, their secondary starters coming up huge, and everyone does what they need to, and a great win for them.
Yep. It's going to be interesting what we will see in game three. We got to remember Milwaukee went down 2-0 to Brooklyn in even more horrifying fashion. A couple big blowouts in both of those games, and they were able to go home, recollect themselves, win and hold serve on their side, and then really you're just trying to grab one on the road. That's all it's going to take in this series. I'm not even close to counting them out. There's always the old adage that role players play better at home, and I expect either one of Middleton or Drew to have a really, really fantastic game in game three and in game four, and you're going to get more from your Connaughton, your Lopez, your Portis, your Bryn Forbes at home, and that's what Milwaukee should be leaning back on. Obviously, some more adjustments to make, but it's not full on panic mode yet, but it is a must win in game three for them. And if you're Phoenix, you got to be riding high. It's now just saying, look what we did in game six in LA. Look at what we did in game six in LA again. And then look at what we did games 3 and 4 in Denver, just like showing that you can close out series on the road. You can, you have the ability with all these different guys to play well on the road and really step on a team's throat when they're down. So that's what they're going to be looking to do heading into game three. And yeah, I can't wait till Sunday. We get a little bit earlier start time than the 9 p.m.s, which have been really hurting me.
Yeah, looking forward to game 3 of the NBA Finals. That'll be all for now. Sports Next Door signing out.